What the fuck is up, everyone? Prison Meddler here, back with another album review, and today we will be reviewing the Dream Theater's new album, Parasonic. So, yeah, guys, Parasomnia. I'm sorry, not Parasonic. What the hell am I saying? Parasomnia. As we know, this is the band's first album since Black Clouds and Silver Linings to bring back Mike Portnoy on drums, replacing another Mike, which I can't pronounce his last name. And as we know, it's one of the highest anticipated albums of 2025. And as we know, when Mike Portnoy left Dream Theater, the band kind of went downhill a bit. It went downhill a notch. And then, as soon as starting with A Tragic Turn of Events, it kind of sounded dull. I mean, the album kind of went up and down a bit a notch. I mean, their self-titled album, I do enjoy their self-titled album because it kind of sounded different than the usual Dream Theater albums. But as for the others, I mean, Distance Over Time is somewhat decent, but everything else, it's kind of bland and mediocre. And then, and I'm starting to think Mike Portnoy's departure from the band is kind of the cause of what the band goes down. And if I think that wasn't really the case, then I think it's time for the band to just wrap it up and just tell me they're out of ideas. Now, until this album, Mike Portnoy came back, and all I have to say about this album is I'm impressed. That is the case. I always predicted that if Mike Portnoy would ever come back, the band would be great again. And it turns out I was right. It turned out that was the case. Dream Theater, I said this many times before, that Dream Theater ain't shit without Mike Portnoy. And it turned out I was correct. This album kicked ass. I mean, it's a lot stronger. It's better production-wise. I mean, even though I think the intro of the album kind of has this 8-string guitar, which I wasn't a fan of in their last album. This one, they pretty much handled it well with this album. So I'll give that one a chance with the 8-string sounding guitars. I mean, okay, now back to the non-Portnoy albums. The albums from A Tragic Turn of Events to A View from the Top of the World. My issue with these albums are it's poorly written, it's poorly executed, and it's kind of dull and all of the above, with certain exceptions on the certain songs, with the exception of their self-titled album. The rest is either poorly executed, poorly written, and just bland. And they even put out the worst album, The Astonishing, which is a really boring album. Like, there is no reason for that album to be 2 hours long. No reason for an album to be this long. But besides all that, as for this album, Mike Portnoy, he saved the band. As we know, Mike Portnoy returned to the band in 2023. I was hooked on it when he returned to the band. And I was hoping to, at the same time, before Parasomnia came out, I was excited, but I wasn't excited at the same time, if you know what I mean. Because, like I said before, I wasn't sure if Mike Portnoy's departure for the band was the case of the band going downhill, but it turned out it was. So, yeah, but it's not one of their best albums, but it's definitely their strongest album in a very long time. So yeah, Parasomnia, it's great. The album is great. It's not perfect. It's not a masterpiece or anything. It's a great album. It's definitely their strongest in a long time. As we know, the album just starts off with the instrumental track. The instrumental track, In the Arms of Morpheus. It starts off with a little skit. It's kind of like what it did with Metropolis Part 2 album. But this album is not related to Metropolis. It's not a sequel or anything. It's kind of a lot similar to that. I'm not really sure it's really a concept album. I'm not quite sure, but it seems like it. And it starts off with Night Terror, which it came out in October, and that song really hits hard. At first, I didn't like the song that much. It's mainly because it was a little overlong, but it really grew into me. Now, here's a song that really struck me, and that is Dead Asleep. I love this dark tone of this song. I do like the riffs to it. Dead Asleep is definitely one of my favorite Dream Theater songs. I would say modern Dream Theater songs, as you may know. So yeah. it's definitely a really fascinating song. And it started off with Midnight Messiah, which it kind of has this thrashy tone to it with this thrash guitar riffs and such, with this more upbeat drumming and such. And then we got a little more like a power ballad track. Are We Dreaming is mainly a skit. And then Bend the Clock, which is more like a power ballad track, which sums into the last song, The Shadow Man Incident, which is a 19.5 track with full of epicness. It's got pretty much what you want from Dream Theater's closing album. I mean, the last closing track with a 19-minute song, wait, is it 19 minutes? Hold on. Oh, okay, close. 20 minutes. Yeah, the closing track, the 20-minute track from A View of the Top of the World, which is titled as View of the Top of the World, it was so underwhelming, but this one, it hit hard. I mean, the middle section of the album it has like synthesizers, piano solos, all of that shit, and it just kicked ass, to tell you the truth. It's definitely what you want to hear from a very long time, especially when you hear from Dream Theater. And I believe Mike Portnoy wrote these parts of the song, since the album is written by the entire band, and Mike Portnoy just wrote all of that shit, since he's a great songwriter too. I mean, I don't really have a lot of words. It brought back everything. It got a lot of it pretty much brought back everything you guys asked for from a very long time. It brought back the instrumentation. It brought back everything. James Labrie vocals sounded great. Great guitar work from John Petrucci. Really solid bass playing as well as keyboards. And great drumming from Mike Portnoy. He kept it consistent with the drumming. Although, I wish he could have added more with the drumming skills, like bongo drums or something like that. But I'm not complaining here at all with this one. I mean, it's got the riffs. I mean, okay, I want to go back to the song Dead Asleep. I kind of like his dark tone throughout the song. It's mainly about a murder or something like that. I don't know, the lyrics is somewhat complicated to understand, but it has a very dark riff tone to it, which I really dug. Dead Asleep, in my opinion, is probably the best song from this album, no joke. I mean, the keyboards to the chorus, it kind of sounds like you hear something from Typo Negative or something like that. I just love how the song starts off with a beautiful tone of it, and then it transitions to this dark sounding riff throughout, which I definitely dug it. I mean, again, it's about like the heat of July. It's basically the song is basically about murder, Dead Asleep. I think it's mainly what caused the concept of this album to be. But yeah, the song, Dead Asleep, that song hit hard. I'm not gonna lie. I just love this crunchy riffs. I just love the instrumentation. I think it's mostly written by Mike Portnoy. That's definitely a sign of what caused the Dream Theater a sign of Dream Theater falling apart after Mike Portnoy's departure. That's definitely a sign, and I definitely feel like it's the case. Oh, I almost forgot about the third way of why Dream Theater was falling down at the time Mike Portnoy left. It could be one of those three signs. Like I said, it's time for a band to wrap up if that wasn't the case. Or, when they release albums, Dream Theater releases new albums every 2 to 3 years. I know the last album came out in 2021, but that album came out in October. This album came out in February. It's not 4 years, guys. So stop it with that. Oh, yeah, but it came out... It hasn't reached... Yeah, but it's like... It's the first time it reached the 4th year mark. No, that is irrelevant. That's irrelevant. It's not 4 years yet. It's not even close to 4 years, so that's irrelevant. And if you guys think this is the longest gap between Dream Theater albums, wrong. It's not the longest gap between A View of the Top of the World and Parasomnia. That would be between their debut album and Images and Words. That's their longest gap. Look it up. Go to... Here, I'll show you the screenshots. So yeah, guys, this is not the longest gap between albums. They didn't break that record. But anyways, guys, final thoughts on this album. Definitely a great album. That was the case why Dream Theater had a fall down, because of Mike Portnoy's departure. That is definitely the case. I think this is their strongest album since Black Clouds and Silver Lining. Welcome back, Mike Portnoy, and hopefully this is not a one-off album. I don't want to hear about Mike Portnoy come back and bring back Mike Mangini. Now, look, I'll say this. I have nothing against Mike Mangini. I'm not saying he's the cause of why the band went downhill, okay? He's not the reason why the band went downhill, okay? He's just a hired drummer for that band, okay? Around that time. He was a hired drummer for Dream Theater. That's it. So it's not his fault. But anyway, yeah. But he's a good drummer too. Mike Mangini's a good drummer too. Don't get me wrong. But as for writing skills and such, I don't think he barely wrote any Dream Theater song, to be honest with you. If I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong. He might have. But his writing skills is nowhere near as good as Mike Portnoy. But anyways, guys, in conclusion, definitely their strongest album. I think it's better written, better produced, better mixing as well, and better executed album. Far better than their last 5 albums. I take this over a Tragic Turn of Events. I take this over their self-titled. I definitely take this over The Astonishing. I definitely take this over Distance Over Time. And I sure as hell take this over A View of the Top of the World. This is easily their strongest album since their 2009 album, Black Clouds and Silver Ryan. So I give this a 4 out of 5. Really great album. Is it Dream Theater's best album ever? No, not even close. There's nowhere. No Dream Theater album can beat Images and Words or Train of Thought or Metropolis Part 2, The Scenes of the Memory. But it's definitely their strongest album in a very long time. Hopefully it's not a one-off album, because if their next album went downhill, then I will be disappointed. But anyways, guys, yes, I'm really happy about this album, the return to roots of this album. So, yes, guys, I'm really looking forward what the future of this band will hold out. Hopefully it's not their final album, because, no, it's too soon for that. But I can definitely say it's their strongest since their 2009 album, Black Clouds and Silver Lining. I also read that ever since Mike Portnoy left the band in 2010, he never spoke to any of the members, well, besides John Petrucci, if I'm not mistaken. I think he only talked to John Petrucci, but as for the rest, he barely spoke. Ever since he left Dream Theater, he has not spoken to them until 2022. So it kind of feels like the band is making amends with him. And I kind of have a feeling the same way with Slipknot would. Because what I read, Slipknot was going to make amends with Joey Jordison, but he passed away. And probably the next album, if Joey Jordison was alive, he would probably be back in I think what the plan was after the end so far, they would fire Jay Weinberg and bring back Joey Jordison. But now Eloy Casagrande is now the drummer. But anyway, yeah, guys, 4 to 5. Really great album. Welcome back, Mike Portnoy. Alright, guys, so that was my review for the Dream Theater's new album, Parasomnia. What is your thoughts on this album? Do you like this album? Do you not like this album? Let me know in the comments. So, yeah, guys, until then, that's the review. Subscribe for more content and all that bullshit, and I'm gonna go ahead and get the fuck out of here. So, I'm out.